welcome back to Food Prep Guide. We are back today with another pantry mix for you. This is going to be our master frosting mix. We're going to be making a based mixture with just a few ingredients, I think 4 ingredients that you likely already have in your pantry. And then I will, after that, show you how to use that base mix to make frosting with it, okay? If that interests you, let's get started. Okay, to start, the main ingredient is powdered sugar, and I went to make this recipe and realized I do not have any powdered sugar, but that's okay. We can make it easily ourselves at home, which is what I did. In case you don't know, powdered sugar is just regular sugar that has been ground up into a fine grain. So if you have a coffee grinder, I use the dry container for the Vitamix. Maybe even some food processors could do it, but you can make your own by just grinding it up. And here's what it looks like. So we need 4 cups of powdered sugar, which is a whole quart. So I'm just going to pour this in here and hopefully not explode white dust all over my pantry. Yep, there goes the white dust. Okay, so 4 cups of powdered sugar. Into that, we're going to add 1 cup of powdered milk. I do recommend whole milk powder for this, or they even have heavy cream powder, which would really be good in this recipe as well, but I don't stock that. I only stock powdered milk, so that's what I'm going to use. So 1 cup powdered milk. Next, we need half a cup of a thickener. I'm going to be using arrowroot powder today. We don't use cornstarch, but if that's what you use and if that's what you have on hand, then you can certainly do half a cup of cornstarch. I'm going to be doing half a cup of arrowroot powder. It's a really great corn-free thickener. I use it in my roux a lot when I want to stay gluten-free and don't want to use flour. It's really has many uses. Okay, and last but not least, we just need a teeny tiny bit of salt. We're just going to do half a teaspoon of salt, and you do want a fine grain salt for this, not one of those lumpy salts. So a fine ground, did I say grain? Fine ground salt. And then just mix it all together. So I don't have any spoons. Well, fork will work. And that is it. That's our master blend. We're just going to store this in, all of my half-gallon mason jars are empty, or not empty, excuse me, they're not empty. They are currently in use. I like to store all of my pantry mixes in glass jars because it makes it really easy to vacuum seal, and it's not plastic. But like I said, all of my half-gallon jars are being used at the moment. I could use 2 different quart jars, but I just don't want to. I prefer to keep everything in one place. And this is the Hoosier Hill powdered milk container. They have these little handles. These are awesome containers. So I always keep those whenever I'm buying powdered milk for mixes like these, whenever I don't have any glass jars available at the moment. So let's get this poured in here, and then I want to show you how to make frosting with this. Now, I mentioned that this is a base mix, so there are lots of different ways to use this to make frosting. We are almost in pumpkin spice everything season, so I want to show you how to make kind of an orangey, pumpkin-y type frosting for pumpkin spice muffins or just regular icing on pumpkin muffins. I'm also going to be showing you how to make buttercream frosting with this. But you can easily swap out the amount of butter for cream cheese and make a cream cheese frosting. We actually prefer cream cheese frosting in our house, but I only have 1 block of cream cheese left, and my family would be very upset with me if I took that away from their bagels and used it for this recipe. So we're going to be making buttercream frosting today. And then I want to show you, last but not least, how we, excuse me, how we color our frosting without those artificial dyes. They make very, very high quality dye-free colorings these days. We've got them on Amazon, so I will show you how to do that. Okay, let's make up some frosting. Before we jump into making the frosting, I did want to mention that we have a new resource coming called Mix in Jars Cookbook. It's going to contain a whole bunch of dry pantry mixes, just like we're making today. And as usual, to celebrate a new resource, we kick it off with a giveaway. The giveaway is now open, and all you have to do to enter is click the link in the description box below and enter with your email address if you're interested in entering the giveaway to win a free copy whenever it is ready to be released. If you have trouble accessing the description box because of the device that you're on, go ahead and comment Pantry Mix in the comments below, and I will send you the link directly that way. We are super excited to release this new cookbook sometime soon. Okay, let's go ahead and make this frosting. Okay, we are ready to make our frosting. I actually don't need frosting right now, so I'm going to do a really small amount, just enough to show you the recipe and how to make it up. So typically I would use 2 sticks of butter, but today I'm going to use 1 stick of butter, which is half a cup. So if you just have a few little muffins or a small little cake, half a cup of butter might be enough to do it. Otherwise, you can simply double everything that I'm about to tell you and use those amounts. So we need to first beat, I need a spatula for this. We need to first beat beat the butter until it's nice and creamy, which is why I have my blender out. I don't want to have to beat the butter for that long, but you can certainly do this by hand. I just don't want to. Okay, so where's my paddle? I couldn't find my whisk paddle, so I'm gonna have to use, here it is. I'm gonna have to use this one, the flat paddle, but oh well. I need to put this, what am I doing with a spatula? I need to put my butter underneath the paddle. There we go. Okay. So we're just going to let this run until the butter is nice and whipped. As I'm sure you know, with using a blender, you often need to stop it and rake it off of the paddle and rake it down from the sides so that it can get nice and, I was about to say, I think I just said whipped, but this first stage is really creamed, not whipped. We'll whip it whenever we get some liquid in there and the sugar. So I'm just pausing it, getting all that moved down, and then continuing. Okay, now we are ready to add the rest of our ingredients. I'm going to start with the ingredients that you would add to make any frosting. Well, any buttercream frosting, that is. And then I'll let you know where it starts going into making a specific flavor, because that's the point where you would start customizing depending on what flavor icing that you want or frosting that you want. So we need a 1 1/4 cup of the master mix that we just made together. 1 1/4 cup. There's one, and where's my close up? And there goes sugar all over my kitchen again. Okay, and oh, that's half cup. Hold on a minute. Let me find my 4th cup. There it is. Okay, 1/4 cup to go with our 1 cup. So we have 1 1/4 cup of our base mix. And we are going to add just a little bit of a splash of milk, and this is going to depend on whether or not you want to add vanilla extract. So I add vanilla extract to my frosting no matter what I'm making. It's not just for vanilla frosting, but you want to keep in mind that it's liquid, and so with this being liquid, it's going to determine how much milk that you're going to be adding. You could also use heavy cream. We only need between 1 1/2 to 2 tablespoons of liquid total. So since I'm going to be using a splash of vanilla extract, I'm going to start with 1 1/2 tablespoons of milk instead of 2 tablespoons and go from there. Of course, you can always add more, but you can't take away, and you don't want your frosting to end up too liquidy. So this is the part where we kind of have to finagle it a little bit to get the liquid amounts just right. But I'm just going to do a little splash of vanilla. Probably about a teaspoon or so. And then I'm going to go light on my milk and go do 1 1/2 tablespoons instead of 2. But we can always go back and add more later. 1 1/2. And then at this point, we are going to whip it until it gets nice and fluffy like you want your frosting to look. And then we'll go into flavorings and colorings. I'm going to scrape down the edges just once. It's typically all it needs before it really starts going. Okay, I'm not even going to bother taking it off the top or off the paddle. This process takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so now our base frosting mix is ready, and at this point, we can really start having some fun with flavors and colors. Just a note about the milk is at this point, if it's not as thin as you want, that's when you would go ahead and add the extra half tablespoon of milk. I'm happy with the thickness of this. I don't know if you can quite tell, but it has not a still nice whipped type texture to it, but it's also nice and thick, which we typically like the frosting thick. Okay, so I mentioned that it is almost pumpkin everything season, so I thought it would be fun to go ahead and flavor and color this for more of an orangey type pumpkin. So for that, I'm going to use a pumpkin pie spice. I'm going to use half a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. And then I discovered that my children have been playing with the food dyes. That's okay. I'd rather them be playing in the kitchen than on their devices. So I don't have the box for this, but I will link the brand below in the description box of where we get these, because these are colored with all natural type colorings. There's no artificial colors in these at all. But I have red and yellow here, and I will mention that because these are naturally dyed and not artificially dyed, they are not as true to color as the artificial fake stuff. That's just a sacrifice that we are willing to deal with to not have any of those artificial colors. But I'm just going to do a few drops of each to try to get an orangey type. I don't know if you can see this, but it actually comes out as more of a gel than a liquid. It's more of a gel than a liquid, so there's that. And then let me do the little squeeze. There's no measurements here, you just got to get a good little squeeze of each one in there. Okay, there we go. I went a little heavier on the yellow. And let's see how this turns out. This is one of those other things that we're just gonna kind of tweak and go until we get the color that we like. Okay, friends, here we are. I'm excited. It turned out pretty good color. As you can probably see that it's not like a true orangey that you would get with the artificial dyes, but I think that is a really beautiful orange color for pumpkin spice everything this fall, without having to have those yucky artificial dyes in them. You can see the texture. I'm kind of rolling it around here so you can hopefully see the texture and get an idea on if you would want to add more milk. It's pretty thick, but that's how we like it around here. So as far as, I really want to taste this. That'd be perfect on a pumpkin muffin. I'd probably do a little bit more pumpkin pie spice though. Would I do half a teaspoon? I think I'd probably kick it up to a full teaspoon for that amount. But anyway, so the base mixture the dry mix, but then also the base mixture that we did together with the vanilla extract and the milk and the butter. That's going to be your starting point for all of your different flavors. Chocolate frosting is you're going to add half a cup of cocoa powder to the mixture, to the base mix that I just said, the butter, the milk, and the vanilla extract. You're going to add half a cup of cocoa powder to that. That's going to give you a chocolate frosting. Espresso frosting is really nice. It's just going to be like a teaspoon of espresso powder. It'll, you know, make it a brownish type color, of course. Another thing I wanted to mention is for cinnamon rolls, or like your fruit-filled jelly rolls or cinnamon rolls. For the icing on top of that, you can use your frosting mix as well. Just add water. Just add water or milk. Water or milk. Since it does have powdered milk in it, we can get away with just adding water. We don't even have to use the milk. If you're just wanting a thin glaze for something like a cinnamon roll, you can take that exact powder mixture. It just depends on the amount of base mix. It's just going to depend on how much you know, glaze that you want on your cinnamon rolls, but it doesn't take much at all, maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons, and then just a splash of water or a splash of milk and you're good to go. Maybe a little bit of vanilla extract. I pretty much put vanilla extract in anything that I bake, but that's just me. Okay, y'all, I hope that was helpful to you and fun, and if you are interested in entering the giveaway for the Mix in Jars cookbook that is coming soon, don't forget to check out the link in the description box or comment Pantry Mix down below, and I will send it directly to you. That's all for today. We'll see you next time. Bye.